Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
Welcome back to Money Mentors this weekend. I'm Taylor Steward, one of the advisors here, and a new voice to all of you listeners. One of our advisors here, Riley Ruff. He's Uncle Riley to my kids. He actually lives kitty corner to us in our old house. Riley's been with us for 9 years now, which is crazy. So what were you, like 10 when you started?
Close to it.
Close, yeah. he was still in high school, working with us part-time. He attended Northwood University and then worked with us in the summers and has been full-time since 2021 and is now a full-time licensed advisor, helping us all out here, helping Gary out. He's kind of been Gary's right-hand man after I left Gary's right hand. So It's been good. We're excited to have Riley here today to give you a new, fresh perspective here on Money Mentors.
Love it. Great to have you here, Riley. I'm always interested in the backstory. So how did you get involved in helping people with retirement? How did you stumble into all of this?
When I graduated high school, I needed a job shadow, and I had a finance class that I really enjoyed, and school wasn't always my thing, but I really enjoyed finance and math, and I asked Gary for a job shadow, and he said yes, and then that turned into a 4-year internship, and after I walked the stage from graduating college, less than 24 hours, I was here full time.
Oh, wow.
And it actually started when Riley was an infant. We have pictures of Gary changing Riley's diaper when he was a baby. So Gary was grooming him from like the age of 6 months old or something like that.
Gary likes to say that he started me from day one to prepare me for the business.
You know, I hate to say this, but Gary has actually told this story on the air. He's never revealed your name until now. So you just actually revealed who you are, Riley. So Gary has told this story. He said someone on the team, he changed their diapers, but other than Laurel. And so now we know.
Yes, that was me.
I love it, though. But we always say, hey, it's like a family firm. I think if Gary changed your diapers, you're basically family. So
yeah. Hopefully we don't have to reverse those roles as Gary ages, though, right? Riley's not having to change Gary's diapers as time goes on.
I think that's where we draw the line, right?
Yes, I always told him it was very generous doing that for me, but it will not be done in return.
Don't count on it.
Exactly. But great to have you along here. And again, we always say, hey, it's great to have all these different team members, all these different minds helping you with your retirement plan there at Mattson Financial Services. Riley is one of those members, Taylor, of course, Laurel, Gerald, all the voices that you hear on Money Mentors every weekend, they're all there to help you with any questions that you have. And so today here on the show, if you hear something that we talk about, you want to get started here toward the end of 2025 or even into 2026 on your retirement questions, feel free to reach out at any point during today's show to one of our great team members off the air at 800-536-8907, 800-536-8907, or you can always go online too and start there at mattsonfinancial.com. But I wanted to start this week, guys, here with an interesting story that has actually made national headlines. A Michigan man's actually gone viral because he's finally getting to retire at the age of 88 with the help of a lot of strangers. In fact, Ed Bombas worked at Meijer in Brighton and was presented a check for more than $1.7 million by a social media influencer who actually started a GoFundMe campaign after hearing his story about how Bombas lost his pension and had to continue working well past a typical retirement age.
Totally surprised. I cannot express in any words how thankful I am to all the people.
All right. So since that story first broke, we've learned now, based on a statement from GM, that it actually was that Bombas didn't actually lose his pension, but he chose a lump sum more than a decade ago and then presumably then ran out of money. Now, it is still heartwarming that, other people stepped up and helped him out with donations here. But I'm wondering, from your perspective on this story, is there a lesson for those of us who don't want to end up in the same kind of sticky spot and, relying on some kind of GoFundMe campaign to fund our retirement?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that's probably a one-off story, and we don't want to base our retirement future on some social media influencer from across the pond coming and rescuing us. But it is a super heartwarming story, and it really goes back to really what we talk about every single week, which is creating a solid income plan. Now, we don't run run across pensions nearly as often as we used to, but when we do, we look at all of the options. Should we take the joint payout with 100% survivor or 50% survivor, single life, or maybe that lump sum option? And there's a lot of things that factor into that decision. How much is that lump sum, and can we generate a stream of income that would match either that single life or joint life payout in retirement? In most cases right now we can. We use tools like fixed index annuities to guarantee that stream of income, or essentially take that lump sum pension and create your own personalized pension, right? So those payments come in every single month like your pension would, except for now you're in control of it. And if something should happen in life and you live a shorter life than expected and there's money left in there, now it's going to your heirs. Whereas if it was in that pension and you're receiving that monthly, that joint payment would go to your spouse. But if there's money left in there at the end of the day, it's not necessarily going to your kids.
Yeah.
So the lump sum can sound appealing, but because you're taking control of it, but we really have a lot of special considerations to make when it comes to, do we pull that out or do we take a payout strategy instead?
And I think that's so important because this guy apparently didn't even make it a decade without a real plan. That's a little bit scary, Riley.
Very much so. And at the end of the day, what it really does come down to is having that plan in place and meeting with someone prior to making those decisions. So you know at the end of the day, the decision that you made is right for you, your family, and also your heirs for generationals.
You know, it's not just about the investment growth on that pension either. It's about obviously income and taxes. What's the tax implications on that? And then everything else that factors into these income plans that we create. Health insurance, you know, of course, again, the taxes and potential legacy. But first and foremost, it's again, just making sure that we're not running out of money. So we need to make sure that that lump sum is there to support you for 20, 30 plus years throughout the course of retirement. There's a lot of special considerations we have to take when we make that decision.
And whether you have that pension or not, you know, I think even for our listeners with that traditional retirement account, 401ks, IRAs, that kind of thing, you're actually sitting on a lump sum too, right? You're looking at that big number, whatever that is. And it's the same kind of concept. You're trying to turn that into income, wondering, how am I going to live off this pile of money for the rest of my life so I don't have to go back to work unless you choose to? And kind of sad to hear about people like Ed who feel like they are forced to go back to work. We don't want that for any of our listeners, guys. So for our listeners out there who want to make sure that they have those details buttoned up, that they want to know they have a plan to stretch their income over time, have a plan for that money, how can they get started with us this weekend and come in and map that out with you?
You know, it's a heartwarming story here about Ed. And the key thing here is the generosity that people showed. But the lesson is that a plan would have prevented the hardship in the first place. And so be one of the first 5 callers today. If you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, or you're getting ready to retire, get a complimentary retirement analysis in your personalized Mattson map from one of our fiduciary advisors here at Mattson Financial. It could be myself, Gerald, Gary, might even be Riley, right? So give us a call here at 1-800-536-8907, and we'll sit down with you and make sure that we have that customized retirement plan for you to get you all the way through retirement.
So do that with us off the air today. You can talk to one of our team members at any point during the show or during the week too. Same number. Just mention you heard your Money Mentors here on the radio at 800-536-8907. 800-536-8907. Or simply schedule a 15-minute phone call to go over some of your initial questions with our team at MattsonFinancial.com. One of the biggest challenges, if you do want to retire early, or perhaps you're forced to retire early, as in Ed's case there, is figuring out how to navigate your healthcare costs and choices until you reach Medicare age. So I'm wondering, how have you helped clients solve that problem and cover that gap until they turn 65?
Yeah, healthcare in the gap years is often the number one reason people feel that they can't retire, and that's going to be because of the cost or the unknown of that cost. They meet with an agent like our Medicare Matt here to discuss what is my insurance options in the marketplace for this 2 or 3 gap years prior to age 65. And sometimes that dollar amount ranges from $800 to $2,000, sometimes a little bit more for just your monthly premium. Then we have to factor in things like deductibles, your max out of pocket, obviously where you're at, health wise today and how heavy of a user you are with that health insurance. And so we sit down and we budget that into the plan. We sit down with Matt to make sure that, hey, is there any subsidies that we can qualify for based on the income needs that you've got? And will that help reduce your overall health insurance premium? It's something that we work on every single day, but it is a big concern. And I've met with a ton of folks that come in that want to retire. And that is primarily, besides running out of money, their biggest fear is, can I even afford it? Right. And they're doing the right thing by sitting down with us to figure out, can we? Because at this point, it's just an unknown number out there that they've not figured out. So we're going to give that clarity, sit with Matt, and make sure that we can cover that health insurance for those gap years.
And again, costs are going up on that. We talked about it last week. We know with some of the recent changes and Congress not able to agree on anything these days, that cost is going up. But you're saying it is doable. Sometimes you might have to get a little creative with that piece of the plan, right?
Yeah, 100%. And then even once we get to Medicare, what's it going to cover, right?
True, yeah.
That's a big piece there. It's like, oh, that big sigh of relief. We made it to Medicare. Now Medicare is going to pick up everything. That's not exactly the case. If we have a long-term care event or we go into a nursing home, it may or may not cover some of it. And so that's, again, we're having that specialist on staff is very helpful for us. It's very helpful for our clients to give that clarity and peace of mind. But you're exactly right. We've got to figure out what that premium amount's going to be, build that into the plan. And frankly, we may have to pay a little bit more for health insurance, and it is what it is for those couple years, but you're going to at least have that clarity to see you can afford it. It's going to work throughout the course of your plan, and it's just a little bump in the road.
Exactly. Just get you to that 65. And again, it doesn't have to be that obstacle as long as you know that the numbers work. And that's why we encourage you to come in and run this plan with your money mentors. Talk about all these different issues. It's not just about your investments when they're helping you put that plan together at Mattson Financial Services. They take a look at all aspects of that retirement plan for you. That includes things like Medicare, marketplace coverage if you need it. Medicare Matt helps with that as well. Social Security, that tax piece of that retirement puzzle, estate planning, and more. And it's all included with that special offer here on Money Mentors this weekend. So if you're missing any part of that puzzle, talk to our team and get started on that plan today at 800-536-8907. 800-536-8907. Or take advantage of some of our retirement resources too right there on our website at mattsonfinancial.com. But next, which gift on the 12 Days of Christmas list has spiked the most in cost this year? Think about it, and we'll have the answer for you coming up next as Money Mentors continues on Wood Radio.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
Well, prepare to pay up if you're buying all the gifts for your true love this year. PFC's annual Christmas Price Index reveals the cost of the 12 Days of Christmas gifts is up 4.5% compared to last year, topping $51,000. The biggest increase is for the 5 golden rings, up more than 32%.
Whoa.
32%. That actually doesn't surprise me based on the cost of gold. We've heard about gold prices, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, 5 golden rings.
Yeah.
A couple $1,000s each. So it must be the partridge, the swans, I forget all of them now. But all the other ones don't cost quite as much.
No, where's Laurel when we need her? She knows all the lyrics. She can sing this one off the top.
Partridge in the
right?
pear tree.
Yeah.
2 turtle doves, 3 French hens.
I mean, since she's not here this week, Taylor, have you ever thought about getting her all the gifts? I mean, you have a farm, so you could conceivably get all the birds and everything else on the list. You could.
Well, we're at 20 chickens, so we've got the 3 French hens covered.
Okay.
The 7 swans, we have them on the lake from time to time. The geese.
So basically, you're covered already.
Yeah, we've got the fowl covered, anyways. So it'd be a little noisier around our household if we had a whole bunch of geese and swans.
Yeah,
which we do from
drummers
time to time
drumming.
out in our field. It gets
Yeah.
pretty loud.
The kids are basically the drummers drumming these days,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
100%.
The toys, right?
Drumming on the walls, drumming on the tables, drumming on you name it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, okay. Never mind. I think Laura would say the same. She'd be like, yeah, I'm good. I'm fine.
We'll keep the rest of the musical instruments out of the household for now.
That's where Uncle Riley steps in and makes sure the kids have all the things they need for Christmas.
Yep.
All the noisy ones, right?
That's
Yeah,
right.
like the
Very much
little air piano that you gave him a couple years ago that unfortunately died.
What?
Fortunately and
How-
unfortunately. Wasn't it your dad's
Yeah,
when he was
it
a
was.
kid? It was like a piano, but it was like an air organ. You plug it in and you actually hear the fan like blowing up the bag for the keys to make the noise. And it was pretty cool. But Bo would sit there and just jam keys all afternoon. So it got a little loud.
Just a little bit. But thanks there, Uncle Riley.
Yeah.
Riley Ruff making his debut this weekend here on Money Mentors, along with Taylor Steward. Thanks so much for joining us, especially during this busy holiday season. Perhaps you're out there doing some of that shopping, whether it's for the things on the 12 Days of Christmas list here or other things. And guys, it's really easy to rack up and spend a little bit more than we should this time of year. But several recent surveys say more Americans are going into debt this year on their holiday spending, putting a lot of gifts on credit cards instead of just paying cash. So we went and asked a few of our listeners, what do they think about going in debt for this type of thing?
Pay off your credit card each month, carry no balance, get a mortgage, try to pay it off sooner.
Do everything you can to stay out of debt, which might mean living modestly.
You got to keep up with it. But yeah, I definitely think about it often.
Don't buy into those credit cards. They will ruin your life.
A snowball that you want to get rolling as early as possible.
All right. I like these people. I like their
I do
attitudes
too.
here on this. I think this kind of reflects most of our listeners out there. And it sounds like most people know it's not something you want to hang on to, especially after the holidays. But what are your feelings about debt, especially, when someone's in retirement? I mean, is that something that you discourage for someone who's, kind of working on a budget?
Not fully. Sometimes there's good debt and bad debt.
Okay.
Good debt might be a low interest on your mortgage, that you're paying off over time. Let's say you're in retirement at this point. Well, we'll let your investments pay for that low interest mortgage because your investments sometimes can outperform what the interest rate is on your mortgage. But then we also get into that bad debt, such as credit cards. Like you said, kind of at Christmas right now, people want to buy family gifts and presents. Well, it's always good to kind of, at the beginning of the year, let's set an amount that we're going to use for each person or what our total pool will be that we want to spend for our budget. Well, make sure you stick to that. And then also throughout the year, make sure you're saving that money aside every month. So when Christmas does come and you want to buy those gifts, the money's already set up on the side to pay for it, and you don't have to put it on a credit card and then rack up high interest if you can't pay it off.
Yeah, I think a lot of people put pressure on themselves to come into retirement debt-free, and obviously that is the goal. But again, I think debt-free, we've got to think in the terms that Riley just laid out, good debt, bad debt. Let's say you have a mortgage, you've got $100,000 left on it, and you've got a 2.75 or 3% interest rate on it. Well, if we were to pull that out of your retirement accounts, we're going to generate a lot of taxable income, pay a lot of taxes on that $100,000, and it's probably, well, it's not probably, it should be earning well more than that 2.75 or 3%, right? So why not utilize that to then make those mortgage payments so it frees up cash flow for you on a monthly basis instead of, again, paying a bunch of taxes to then pull that $100,000 out to pay that mortgage where it may free up $800 or $900 a month in cash flow. So utilizing the investments in that standpoint. And I would just caution people, it's very easy this time of year as you go to all the stores, you go to Macy's, hey, do you want the credit card? You go to Cabela's, hey, do you want the credit card? Best Buy, you name it. Everywhere's got their own credit card. And then next thing you know, you lose track of them, right? You don't know what you charge to which one. You start getting all these bills. It's very difficult to keep track of. And you're talking not 2 or 3 or 4% interest. You're talking 20, 25, 30, 35% interest. And that's a really tough hole to climb out of, right? So again, looking at it from good debt, bad debt, And if a priority for you in retirement is paying off that mortgage, which most is, I've done this quite a few times where it's okay, we're going to utilize the investments to cover that monthly mortgage payment. And then we're going to come up with a 3-year payoff plan. We're going to fill up your income bucket and then fill up your tax bracket and pull $25,000 out each year to throw some bigger lump sums at that mortgage. So we're not holding it for the next 10 or 15 years, but we're doing it strategically while we're keeping those assets growing. We're not paying more in taxes. So it's all about those strategies. And so when people come into us, they think that largely what we do is just investments, and that's a big piece of it. But this is a huge strategy that we help people with all the time. What's the best way to utilize your money as a tool to take care of you? And also, how do we utilize that mortgage debt as a tool as well to maintain the growth that we need in your portfolio as time goes on?
Love that you help people with that kind of strategy. Again, helping them tackle the things, the priorities that they want to work on in terms of paying off that debt, including that mortgage if they want to. And, guys, we definitely hear a lot of surveys out there about people, maybe with spending problems, especially this time of year going into debt. But I know what we often find with a lot of our listeners and a lot of your clients is that when they get to retirement, it's the opposite problem. They're actually more afraid to spend what they've worked hard to save. So how do you help them find that confidence to go ahead and actually enjoy that money, especially this time of year when they could be doing the things they really want to with their families, maybe taking the trips, splurging on a gift or two, that kind of thing?
Yeah, many of our listeners and many of our clients, quite frankly, are the opposite of overspenders. They're underspenders. Mm-hmm. And that's where that fear of running out of money more than anything comes up, right? So they freeze on the spending. They don't go on those trips. They don't do those dreams, goals, and desires, those things that we always talk about. And so then when we have a review meeting, it's like, well, how'd the year go? Did you guys end up going down to Florida for a couple months? No, the markets were bad. It's like, well, we set this money aside. And so we really have to coach folks a lot of times into how to spend that money, and it's okay to spend that money, and show them, hey, you're well within the range that we've set forth for you to do these things. Whether the markets are up or down, we've got that money set aside so you can go on those family vacations. You can snowbird down to Florida or Arizona in the wintertime, or buy that new car, new boat, or whatever that is. And so it takes a lot of coaching, and it's an emotional shift. When you go into retirement, you're so used to saving and accumulating those dollars. It's a weird feeling, frankly, right? Yeah. It's an emotional feeling of now that money is there to support me. And if you don't have a fiduciary advisor, if you don't have a written income plan, and you're just kind of flying it, alone or solo, going into it blind, it can be very unsettling. And you might not live the exciting retirement that you really plan to just because you don't have that written income report or that fiduciary advisor to speak with to ensure that it is okay that we do those things.
And I love that you say, hey, I even plan for my clients when the market is down. I mean, that's the thing. I think a lot of people think that they have to cut back their spending when you have a down year in the market, but you show them otherwise. And I think that's the advantage of actually sitting down, putting this in black and white, guys, understanding what that plan looks like in the good times and the bad, looking at worst case scenarios too. It really helps give you that confidence to go out there, to actually make that list of dreams, goals, and desires, and start making it happen for yourself in retirement. So this holiday season, why don't we make that offer to a few of our listeners to go ahead and at least get this visit on the calendar at Mattson Financial Services and get started on putting that plan together.
Absolutely. Retirement is about income, but it's also about experiences, and the plan really needs to support both. And that's what we're here to help with. So if you want to understand exactly how much you can safely spend in retirement and still protect your long-term income, be one of the first 5 callers right now at 1-800-536-8907. If you're retired or near retirement, we'll build that spending roadmap and Mattson map at no cost and make sure that you can enjoy those retirement years.
And Riley, it really doesn't take that much time for our listeners to get started on that plan, but you guys do a lot of that work behind the scenes once that first visit is over, right?
Yes, very much so. And that's part of us being fiduciaries as well. We're going to do what's best for the client, but each plan is custom to each client's different life experiences and scenarios. So we're going to make sure from our point of view that we're going to coach you to help you learn to spend your money in the right way so that you aren't going into the debt and you aren't overspending, but you do feel comfortable with those dollars coming in every month that you worked your whole life to save for, that you can enjoy the retirement and do the things that you want to do with your family, friends, or whatever that might be.
Well, if you're looking for that kind of confidence with your plan, go ahead and give us a call this weekend. We know this is a busy time of year for you too, but just go ahead and get out the calendar. Let's go ahead and look at maybe January, even February. Our team is scheduling those visits well into 2026 now. So let's carve out a couple of hours for that first visit. Get to know your money mentors. They're going to go to work behind the scenes then, mapping out what that retirement income looks like for you, addressing any questions, concerns that you have on those first visits. But we do this complimentary for you because we think, quite frankly, you're going to like that difference you experience in person at Mattson Financial Services. So go ahead, give us a call at 800-536-8907 to get started. 800-536-8907. Or you can always access our calendar and schedule a 15-minute phone call there at mattsonfinancial.com. Just click that Schedule Now button there. That's Mattson with 2 T's, financial.com. But next, the simple things you can do to avoid the tax traps with your retirement accounts. Yes, there are some to avoid. We'll talk about that next here with Taylor and Riley as Money Mentors continues after the news right here on Wood Radio.
You're listening to the Money Mentors Podcast.
Thanks for checking out the Money Mentors podcast this week. We're here with Taylor Steward and Riley Ruff making his big debut here on Money Mentors this week. Guys, the generation that grew up with Hair the Musical is now worried about losing its hair. A new survey finds the top concern among baby boomers about aging is losing hair tied with wrinkles. Even younger generations are concerned about their hair, saying it's strongly tied to their self-esteem. All right, you guys have nothing to worry about yet.
Not at this point. Now, look at my grandparents and realize that Grandpa Bill's got a pretty good head of hair still.
Okay, so
I think I'm going to be in good shape.
You might have some hope.
In good shape, yeah.
How about you, Riley?
Good genetics.
Okay, all right. So
I'll keep my hair.
Okay, I always say to guys especially, don't worry so much about this. I don't know. There's something about bald guys. I'm like, I don't mind it as a woman. Like, just own it, I'd say. You know?
I feel like, once you start losing it, you get to that point, you really do. You just have to make it your own. You have to own it. Otherwise, you see so many people that try to hide it, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
don't
maybe
do
you
that.
maybe you should just let it go, right? Just shave it, and you look good with it.
Yeah, stop the comb overs and everything else. I think about like Vin Diesel, who went bald. I don't know when he shaved his head, but I like.
I don't think I've ever seen a picture of him with hair.
With hair, exactly.
You know?
So
you got people like Joe Rogan is the same, right? He's kind of he used to have hair, but he really embraced the no hair look.
And he
looks
rocks
good.
it.
Comfortable with it.
Yeah, he rocks it. So.
I'm trying to get used to the gray hairs. I've got like 5 or 6 of them coming in now.
Oh,
and so
come on, Taylor.
As my hair gets longer, like if I typically I go get a haircut like every 2 weeks or so, but if I make it 3 weeks or sometimes a month, there's like 4 on the right side of my head that really start to stand out. Whereas when it's short, you don't see it. So.
But you're at that age where
I
start
know,
to creep in. Just
33 and
it's the kids.
I always say though, a little bit of gray is also distinguished. I don't mind the silvery gray
wisdom,
either.
Right?
Yeah. So I
look at guys like George Clooney. It's like the silver fox looks great.
Yeah, some things are not so bad about aging. But for those of you who are maybe noticing the grays a little bit more, maybe a few of those little wrinkles, well, this show's for you here on Money Mentors and your Money Mentors
You're not alone.
this week. Yeah,
we can be your support group.
Absolutely. Every weekend here with Taylor Steward and Riley Ruff this weekend. Riley, new to the show, making his big radio debut here on Wood Radio this weekend. You okay so far, Riley? We haven't scared you away yet, right?
Nope, it's going great. I'm very, very happy.
Yeah. Riley's been at the office now for quite a while, part of that team at Mattson Financial Services, ready to help you with any of your retirement questions. So if you have those questions for us this weekend, feel free to drop us a line through our website anytime at mattsonfinancial.com, or you can always reach out to our team off the air too at 800-536-8907. While most of us save in 401ks and IRAs for retirement these days, those accounts are losing their luster tax-wise thanks to some recent rule changes, according to IRA expert Ed Slott. He tells Morningstar that it's important to have this on your tax radar when it comes to estate planning, too. And you'll want to reduce that taxable amount over time. But he says, guys, it really doesn't have to be complicated.
And there's so many easy ways to do it without fancy estate planning or trusts or anything. You can just give money away each year, annual exclusions. You can give money away, make direct unlimited gifts for medical or tuition. And you can use the exemption itself during life. So you don't have to do anything fancy.
So can a tax strategy that benefits both you and your heirs really be that simple?
Yeah, absolutely can. I had the pleasure of hearing Ed's talk a couple times, and one of the things that he said that really stuck with me is an IRA is an IOU to the IRS, right?
I love
and
that.
I think where everybody listening is on board. We don't mind paying taxes. We only want to pay our fair share. We do not want to pay more than we have to, more than we should. And so I think looking at that, there's a couple good things that can utilize those accounts for. Now, one thing to remember is if you were to pass away and you've got all of this money, let's say you've got $1 million in qualified money or in an IRA and you've got 2 kids and you pass away and they inherit that money, you split it 50-50. Each one of them gets about $500,000. Okay. Now, prior to 2020 and to the Secure Act, they used to be able to stretch that out over, 20, 30, 50 years, their entire lifetime. So it wasn't a huge tax impact. They just take those required minimums and they could reinvest it into things like their Roth or even back into their IRA and take a tax deduction on it. But now that's gone. It's 10 years. And so if you have inherited $500,000 of qualified money, you've got 10 years to take it out. In simple math, without any sort of growth, that's $50,000 a year of fully taxable income. That could totally blow up your kids' current tax strategy today and what they're doing to save for their future just by way of that inheritance. So maybe looking at things like gifting today while you're still alive makes sense. If that money's going to be passed on anyways, why not gift up to that exclusion as long as it's not going to negatively affect you tax-wise?
Right.
Gift up to that exclusion so they get an early inheritance. You get to watch the kids enjoy that money today and set them up for their future instead of them inheriting a tax bomb later on in life, right? And then another strategy that we can look at is if you've got that qualified money and you're over 70, let's say you give to the church or you give to Salvation Army, whomever that is, you can actually gift from your IRA directly to those charities, and that is what's called a QCD, or Qualified Charitable Distribution. It's good for you because you're giving and doing the tithing that you normally would anyways, but you're not paying taxes on it, and neither is the charity.
Neat strategies there. And then, talking about things like Roth conversions too. A lot of people use that as a strategy to get more in that tax-free bucket. So that benefits both that retiree, retirement saver, and their heirs too, right, Riley?
Yes, very much so. Because let's say we do those conversions, we have money in the Roth bucket now. Well, that same 10-year rule applies, but when the child or the beneficiary has to take those funds out, it's not taxable to them. Where a lot of times, if a client passes away and they are left with a bunch of IRA dollars that go to their beneficiaries, their children might be in their top earning years. They're already in a high tax bracket. So now on top of what they're already earning, they have to take those funds out over 10 years, which could push them to a new tax bracket. And then they're having to pay more taxes. So it's more focusing on, what we can do now to save taxes down the road. But it's not just looking at your plan. It's also looking generational, looking at the next generation and thereon to make sure that we don't blow up your plan, but we also don't blow up their plan from a tax point of view.
And that's why it's good to sit down with our fiduciary advisors to figure out what's best for you, because it's not a cookie cutter plan. It's unique. It's tailored to you, your family, your dreams, goals, and desires, and the type of legacy that you want to leave.
Absolutely. And we mentioned, that some of those recent tax law changes have made the IRA perhaps a little bit less attractive, but they have made tax planning a little bit more attractive because we now have some of these lower tax rates in effect for a little bit longer. But for our listeners who want to sit down and actually do some of this strategizing with you, go over some of these rules and how it applies to their situation, how can they get started on that this weekend?
Yeah, the tax traps don't wait, and neither should you. So be one of the first 5 callers if you've saved $250,000 or more and want a tax-efficient plan for both you and your heirs. Your Mattson map will review how to reduce lifetime taxes and protect your legacy with one of our fiduciary advisors here. So just call 1-800-536-8907 and sit down with us today.
Again, that number 800 536-8907. One of our great team members taking those calls and questions off the air today during the show. You can reach us at that same number during the week as well, or set up that simple 15-minute phone call on our website this weekend at mattsonfinancial.com. That's Mattson with 2 T's, financial.com. Well, USA Today reports a growing number of kids are investing their dollars. In fact, one family investing app says kids and teens under 17 invested more than $70 million this year. That's up 65% from last year. And they're putting their money into things like NVIDIA, Apple, Amazon, Tesla, and a Vanguard ETF that tracks the S&P 500. So, question for you guys here. Is it a good idea to get kids started that young? And how should parents kind of guide them through that process?
100%. It's a great idea. That stat is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Kids and teens under 17, more than $70 million, and that's up 65%. Like, just sit with that for a second. That's awesome. That's a kudos and hat tip to those parents and grandparents out there that are really teaching that financial literacy. And I think I'm going to let Riley take this one for a second, because Riley's younger than I am, and he started a lot younger than I did. And that's a product of his parents and his upbringing. So why don't you talk a little bit about this, Riley?
Yeah, I think especially today's day and age, you see families that are more open about their financial situation. And I think that really helps the children understand the worth of a dollar. I know growing up, my parents were very open with, what they make, how they're investing. And that really fascinated me, which really made me then want to start investing young, because the younger you are, the longer you have for your money to grow and compound. I like to say there's no age too young to start investing. The earlier, the better. You have a long life ahead of you, and let that money work as hard for you as, you are for it. But with families these days being more open about it, I think it's really setting up that younger generation, as these statistics has proven, that it's really wanting them to jumpstart their retirement.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a huge amount. If you're talking with your kids and they cut the lawn in the summertime for a couple neighbors and make some spare change, $20, $25 a month, something like that, it does go a long way. And I think more than the growth on it, the lesson that it teaches, they see the value, they see that compound growth. And frankly, once they start seeing that account balance start to grow and grow and grow, I want to say addiction is not the word, but it lights that fire in their belly, because they can now see the value. It's not just $25. Now it's $3,000, right? And then they start bumping up those contributions. And there's some great ways that you can start doing that as a parent or as a grandparent to help them set that up. If they have working, maybe setting up a custodial Roth IRA if they're under the age of 18. We've done that for our kids. They're young enough now where they don't necessarily see the value quite yet, but we talk about it with them quite a lot. Or if you're a parent and you set up a 529 plan for their college education, don't just put money into that account and let it grow until they're ready to go to college. Talk to them about it. Show them what you're doing for their financial future, and show them that they can do the same thing for their financial future, for buying a house, buying that new car, helping pay for college, and just showing them, again, the power of compounding interest, the power of consistency and contributions and diversification. And also it gets them more interested in what's going on in the world today. Doing research on companies can be really fascinating. It might even help them decide what career path they want to go down. Yeah, in Riley's case, what career path he wanted to go down, but they might be putting money into these companies and be like, man, this NVIDIA company is pretty interesting. Maybe I want to go into more of the IT world. Maybe you're not going to start in NVIDIA, but it might help them find the career path that they want to go down, while also teaching them valuable lessons about investing for their future.
Yeah, so true. And a lot of great lessons can come from starting them early. And they encourage that at Mattson Financial Services. We have a lot of great resources for your families on our website at mattsonfinancial.com. And when you come in for that first visit, too, ask for a copy of Gary's book. That's a great way to get the family conversation started, too. What your parents never told you about money. Again, just ask for it at 800-536-8907 when you set up that visit this weekend with our team off the air. But coming up next, the world's most well-known investor is finally retiring. So what are our biggest lessons from Warren Buffett? We're going to share those with you. It's coming up next right here on Money Mentors on Wood Radio. Stay with us.
Getting you not just to, but through retirement. This is the Money Mentors Podcast.
helping you with questions about all things retirement here on Money Mentors with Taylor Steward and Riley Ruff this week. And guys, the end of the year will mark the retirement of the man who might be considered the world's most well-known investor. At 94 years old, 94,
Wow.
Warren Buffett plans to step down from his role at Berkshire Hathaway. And in his farewell letter to investors, he talked a lot about his Midwestern upbringing, guys, and the life that he has enjoyed in Omaha, despite being one of the world's richest men, something that he's often talked about in interviews.
I could buy any house in the world, and I don't want any other house than the one I'm in, and that house is in a middle-class neighborhood. I'm happy in a pair of khakis and a sweater, so I don't need fancy clothes. I don't need fancy food.
But Buffett, guys, admits he's feeling the effects of aging now and says he'll continue to visit the office, stay engaged in charitable efforts to keep active even into his late 90s. And in honor of Buffett this week, Money.com gives us a few lessons of his this week that we can take away from the Oracle of Omaha here. So I thought we'd go through these with our listeners here because, gosh, I mean, you think about how well he's done over 60 plus years in his career in this role at Berkshire Hathaway. And I do think we can learn a lot here. Number one is simply keeping it simple as an investor. He's kind of the king of doing that, at least preaching it, right?
100%. Complexity isn't necessarily a strategy. Clarity is. I say this to clients quite a lot. We can be over diversified. We're diversified for diversification's sake, right? But that means that we might be investing in some sectors that we don't know much about or aren't providing a lot of value just because we're afraid of the other sectors going down. That's where coming up with, again, that income plan, setting up that income bucket, keeping it simple. This is for your monthly income. This is for your long-term growth. This is that fund bucket for those new exciting areas or sectors in the market for some additional growth or passing money onto your kids moving forward. So we want to keep it simple. You want to understand what you're investing in.
Number two on the list of lessons here from Warren Buffett, stay calm. He does always seem to kind of do the opposite of what most people are doing when the market's going up and down.
Yeah, we know, on top of keeping it simple is just staying calm. Markets are going to go up, they're going to go down. That's just how the markets work. But long term, we know markets are going to go up. So when we do have those down years, don't panic and pull your money out because you are actually realizing that loss. If you just wait, let it ride it back up, it might look like a loss on paper, but you're not going to actually capture that loss. So just knowing what the markets are going to do, but also if you are worried or you have that, just pit in your stomach, reach out to a fiduciary advisor and have that conversation with them. Let them know that you're worried and they'll help you and talk you through it. And that's exactly what we do here at Mattson Financial.
I think one of Warren Buffett's most famous quotes is it really hits home for us and a lot of people, which is, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. And that just speaks to the staying calm, but staying pragmatic in your approach to how you invest and don't make emotional decisions based on what everybody else is doing. Everybody else's plans are different. Do what's right for you. A lot of times in our meetings, that's part of the role I play, which is that keeping the conversation even keeled and speaking to what actually is going on in your plan. And let's remove the noise from what's going on in the 24/7 news cycle.
The herd mentality.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
follow the herd, follow what's right for your plan.
Yep.
Yeah. Buy low, sell high. And again, it kind of goes against what most people do as investors because of that 24/7 news cycle. But you see Warren Buffett talk about it all the time. Do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. That's been really the key to his success. Another key to Warren's success here is what he calls the moat principle. Use that moat principle. What is that, guys?
So investing in companies that have a competitive advantage, making it more difficult for other companies to keep up. So really looking for those companies or those sectors in the market that have that advantage. And a part of that is for your individual, the moat would be, eliminating high interest debt, which we talked about earlier, controlling your spending, optimizing your taxes. So building that moat around your plan or around your life creates that stability and freedom and gives you more control over what your retirement's going to look like. Instead of letting those debt items out there dictate where your money goes, take control of it, build that moat and build that security around your financial plan. And that's ultimately what we're here to help you out with as well.
And I think of that moat too in terms of how you structure people's income as well. You kind of build income in different phases and build that critical income need for people in retirement so that they're not drawing again from a loss in their portfolio in those early years in retirement. That kind of builds that moat and protects their income later in retirement too. I kind of think of it in that way as well.
Yeah, 100%. That income bucket that we build for your critical income need that's going to have 12 to 18 months worth of funds, low risk, low volatility, but is there for your monthly income. That way, if we do see a market correction, you're not in a position that we have to sell something for a loss to send you that monthly distribution. We've got it set aside. But as a part of that too, as we see the markets continue to climb, we're on a 3-year really good run in the markets, right? The markets have been very healthy since 2022. And so we don't want to get greedy, right? Like Warren Buffett says. So let's start harvesting some of those gains. And when we do that, we're going to throw it into the income bucket. Well, now as I'm running reviews and looking through clients' portfolios, I have some income buckets that have 36, 48 months worth of money in them, but that's there strategically. If we go through a longer down period in the markets, we've got plenty of funds there. But also if we see a correction in the market, now we've got money that we can throw back into the markets and still keep 12, 18, 24 months worth of assets in their income bucket, but now we're able to buy and take advantage of that opportunity that the market has given us instead of being afraid of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So think about that moat principle in that way, and it helps protect your retirement over the long term, which leads us to this final lesson here from Warren Buffett, and that is become a long-term thinker when it comes to your investment strategy. And that really is kind of the basis for all the plans you put together for people.
Yeah, very much so. I know one of Warren Buffett's key factors to his success is thinking long term. Like I said earlier, we know the markets are going to go up, they're going to go down, but don't look at tomorrow or next week. Look down the road because markets are going to increase. And if you have that long term goal or picture in mind, you're going to set yourself up for retirement in a better spot than if you are thinking on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and going back to, the income bucket, we're setting this up. Here's your 12 to 18 or 24 months worth of money. Here's that money that we're investing for more of that mid or intermediate term. Here's that longer term money that might be more of a legacy piece where, we're not really investing this money for you anymore. We're investing this for your kids, for your grandkids, or passing on to charities. And so we're looking at that in a long-term approach and letting those clients know and have the clarity of, here's the today money, here's the 3 to 5 year money, here's 5 to 15 years and beyond that, how we're setting this up. But you've got to think long term because, again, markets go up, they go down. We've even seen that in 2025. Altogether, it's been a good year, but we've seen some volatility, right?
Yeah.
And so if we would have sold out on that, we would have missed out on quite a bit of gains this year as well.
And many clients aren't retiring and being retired for 10, 15 years. We have clients that retire early and are being retired for 25, 35 years. So our focus as well is looking at that long term to make sure you can have the income and you can do the things that you want to do throughout retirement. We're not focusing on tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's important. Our Mattson map helps retirees think in decades, not months, and make decisions with long-term confidence at the end of the day.
Love it. And I think your approach is very much like the approach that Warren has taught us about over the years. And one of his recent comments focused, guys, on, not just the amount of money. He said, actually, he thinks he could retire on just $1 million. I mean, he's worth billions and billions of dollars. But he said, I could make it work on $1 million based on my investing strategy because, again, of his lifestyle, but also because of how he approaches investing. And I thought that was a pretty cool thing to say. And it makes retirement seem within reach, I think, for a lot of us listening today to know that, hey, we can apply this same approach to our financial life. But for a lot of our listeners, they just need that guidance, right? We think we'll never be Warren Buffett. I don't know how to do this thing. We just need a little help with it. So for our listeners who need that kind of help, how can they get started with us this weekend?
Yeah, if you want a retirement plan built with the same clarity, simplicity, and discipline that Buffett preached, be one of the first 5 callers right now. Whether you're already retired or preparing for it, you'll receive a complimentary discovery visit where we're going to go through all of those statements, your income, your dreams, goals, and desires. We're going to gather all of that information, and then we're going to do a full analysis of that income, of your investments, the taxes, the health insurance, the legacy, maybe the things that we don't think about every day when it comes to retirement. And then your personalized Mattson map is designed to guide you for your entire retirement journey. So call now and start building a retirement future you can feel confident about. All you have to do is give us a call at 1-800-536-8888. 8907 to sit down with one of our fiduciary advisors today.
One of our team members will be standing by for a few minutes after today's show, signing up those final few callers right now. Again, that number is 800-536-8907. So if you have a question about anything you heard on today's show, here's your chance now. 800-536-8907. 07, or you can always go online. If you're driving right now, just remember our website, MattsonFinancial.com, Mattson with 2 T's, financial.com. Just click that schedule now button and you can access our calendar later to set up that 15-minute phone call, a getting to know you chat there, MattsonFinancial.com. And of course, be sure to join us here again next weekend for more lessons right here with your money mentors.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us again this weekend. Riley, thank you. Congratulations on your first radio show. It was great having you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. And you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Mattson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Mattson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Mattson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.